Forest, the All-Star break's over. Hockey's back. Wings are out west. Exciting couple weeks here ahead.
In the dog days of February, there really isn't much else to look forward to. But with the Wings in playoff contention this year, we've got a lot to talk about. This is the Sickest Podcast.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Hockey Town Hangout.
Brings it in, scores! Oh, his first NHL goal is a beauty!
The sickest Detroit Red Wings podcast. It's gonna be sick.
All right, so post All-Star break, obviously we got to see the Catman down at the All-Star break this year. Or actually not down, over in Toronto. But regardless, Wings are back now. Out first game against the Canucks, and then now they're out west currently. Obviously, let's start off with their 4-3 win in OT against the Canucks. First thing that really jumped off the paper to me, I wouldn't even say first thing that jumped off. The season that Lucas Raymond's having, he's basically on pace with Alex DeBrincat. And I think that if any of us would be hearing that 50 games through the season, they'd be very ecstatic about that. Obviously, that's going to bring up some complications with a contract and stuff, I believe, after this season regarding, whether they sign a bridge deal. I think they should just sign him long-term, go with 7-8 years, give him the 7-8 million and kind of go from there. Because we've obviously seen that with a lot of teams across the league. But yeah, his beauty of a goal, like we are seeing the evolution of Lucas Raymond from in, outer areas of the offensive zone guy to now an anywhere and everywhere offensive force. And it feels good to have a guy, really Steve's first draft pick, I believe, come onto the scene early and really kind of take things over. So it's really good to see. Any thoughts from you, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, that's just a meat and potatoes goal he scored right in the beginning part of the game. Drive it wide, take it to the net, and make something happen, make a play. So he's I saw a tweet too. He's like pretty much on pace with like the Stutzlas and the other guys who are in his draft class. But yeah, so it's really good to see him play so well. There was some questions last year. Can he take that next step? I think we're kind of seeing that now. I would tend to agree with you. I would sign him up long term because in like 3 or 4 years that might be like a steal of a contract if he continues to mature and develop. I would try and do that too instead of stay away from a bridge deal. I'd do the same thing with Mo Seider as well. But yeah, Steve's first 2 picks, 53 and 23, really making a big impact so far for this franchise, which is a big deal.
One more big thing that really kind of jumped out at me here, coming out of the All-Star break, a lot of, heavy legs. Not everybody has their legs underneath them, so on and so forth. And the Wings really got blitzed over in that second period. For them to come back and fight back in the third period is the kind of effort we're going to need to see time and time again. I mean, there's a lot of good hockey teams in the NHL. There's a reason that, a third of the teams are different every single year. It's because there is so much parity. There are so many good teams. Watching them come back, we're going to need more of it. And Alex Lyon is going to have to continue standing on his head goodness, he has for the last 2 months.
Yeah. Alex Lyon's pretty much the reason why they're in the point in the standings where they are. But that game, the Vancouver game, welcome back to Detroit, Filip Hronek. They dig themselves into a hole yet again, and thankfully they're able to find a way out of it. You're down 3-1. Patrick Kane finds Sprong on power play, gets a tuck there. Game tying goal was like probably around 12-ish minutes left. That cop line, that identity line, like Coach Lalonde called it, down low, getting those board battles won. And so tie it up. And then obviously the gritty shot in OT there was really nice.
I think I have so much fun with that. I think everybody loves it. I don't know what it is, but he seems to really break it out at home quite a bit, and he has some attention for flair. You know, he's a guy that likes to be in the limelight, and his play has really backed it up. I mean, to be honest, seeing him pop that goal on the penalty shot in OT, I was like, damn, that looks like a forward out there taking that. It was a nice move. He set the goalie up, and obviously it was wide open, and he buries it.
Yeah, it looked like a penalty shot from the 90s. Like really no head fakes, no pump fakes, no leg kicks, nothing. Just like got it on his stick, lined it up, and right in there. So, and that was cool. And then you knew the gritty was coming. He hadn't gotten to do it at home yet. And I saw something on Twitter. I don't know if it's real or not, but like the NHL sending like a memo to all teams about, celebrations and conduct at the end of the game and stuff like that. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I didn't dig into it at all. But if that is true, that's like kind of dumb because like, what, like have fun. Like who cares? Like, and you could say the same thing about the Ridley Gregg stuff with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And objectively, the open net slap shot was hilarious. It just was. And you could say he broke an unwritten rule, and that's fine. And you can say, oh, he cross-checked him in the head. And you could say he cross-checked him in the shoulder, and it rid up. Like, either way, Greg probably deserved to get his ass beat a little bit for that. But it was still funny.
Yeah, at the end of the day, one of the reasons we love sports is that they're entertaining, right? And when you can have somebody that backs it up on the ice and also, does it when they celebrate. Like I can think of some of my favorite receivers or most exciting receivers I can remember in the NFL. All of them did touchdown dances and all of them were kind of in your face. And it was fun to watch, it's something that you can grab onto. You're like, I love the flair of it. I enjoy seeing the individuality of that part.
Yeah. And even when you just take hockey and break it down to the youth and amateur level, like you see kids and they score a goal and they do the bow and arrow or drop down to one knee and give the ice a little shimmy. But like, that's just part of having fun, right? I mean, like Walman just scores a big goal, comeback penalty shot. He's one of the only defensemen in NHL history to have an OT penalty shot winner. Like if he wants to do the gritty in front of his home fans, he should do it. And if the NHL really needs to send a memo, they should probably find a way to utilize those resources in a better way to make the game better.
Really could not agree more. Anything from your end to wrap up Canucks game?
No, just a really, really good bounce back win. Obviously you get it to overtime and that almost never happens, wraps it up that way. So kind of an anomaly, but a fun one nonetheless.
Most definitely. Let's move on to the massacre up in Edmonton.
Why? Do we have to? Can we let's burn the tape?
Unfortunately, it's obviously in here. My goodness. What an onslaught in the third period. Wings fought back here again to tie the game going up into the third. It was 3-3, and I'm pretty sure they gave up 2 goals promptly in the first 5 minutes, and then obviously the ice just entirely tilted. I really enjoyed watching McDavid. I always do. I always enjoy the games we play against him. I mean, the guy just the 360. My goodness. All right, enough about him. I liked the effort that the Wings gave in the first 2 periods. Don't know what happened in the third. Don't know what they talked about the second intermission, but they probably shouldn't talk about it ever again because it just didn't work. I mean, whatever the poster board material was, it should never be brought up ever again. Just gonna throw that out there. Obviously, we talked a little bit, and Husso got brought in. That was kind of interesting to me. Want to take a little bit to talk about that?
I mean, Lyon has revealed that he's the guy. You're playing arguably the hottest team in the National Hockey League. Definitely the best player in the National Hockey League. I do not understand why after a month and a half off, why you throw Ville Husso in there like that. And granted, I'm not trying to pin that on this new injury or say that's the reason we lost the game or anything, but Lyon comes in and ask any goalie. Like, it sucks coming in thinking you're not going to start. Like, that's not a great way to prepare and then get thrown to the wolves like that. And obviously really sucks for Ville Husso. But yeah, I don't know if he was ready. Like, that's fine. And obviously, he's an NHL goalie, and as a coach, you should have faith in your goaltenders, which I understand. But yeah, just kind of a weird spot to try and flex him in. I think that Calgary game coming up is a good spot, or even the Seattle game, the one right before we head back home. Obviously, you don't need or want Alex Lyon to start all the games on the road trip, but just, I don't know, starting Husso against Edmonton really didn't make any sense. And now he's week to week yet again with another lower body injury.
This was interesting to me because obviously Lalonde said that it's Husso's net to lose. And he's the guy, or sorry,
Lions.
Scratch that. Lions net to lose. And Husso is now, he's finally healthy. He's finally back from injury. Yeah, I just didn't understand it. Like, to your point, fitting him in there, like, we all know that for the most part, Lion's going to get 2 out of every 3 out of every 4. But yeah, to kind of throw him in there against obviously the freaking Oilers, it was just kind of head scratching to me because, it's a quick way to lose confidence, especially coming back. And I know that he did give up a goal at the end there. And I just feel like only bad things can come from that. And I don't think that anything good, but, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. And Edmonton's known for being a high flying offensive juggernaut type of team, thrive on the special teams, thrive on the power play, getting goalies moving side to side, losing track of the puck, just fast, quick pace decision-making. Husso was in for a long night anyway, even if he didn't get hurt. So just, questionable team, questionable style of team to bring a guy back in, and especially a guy who he lost. Well, he didn't lose the net. He got hurt, I guess. But, the net's been won, man. And you're playing one of the best teams in the league. It just doesn't make any sense.
I feel like it was kind of walking back those words a little bit.
100%.
Like, it's Lions net, but it's mixed signals.
Like, you're playing in Calgary at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon local time against a team that stinks. Like, play them in that game. What are we doing here? You got to play your best goalie against the best teams. It's just kind of unacceptable.
Something to improve on, definitely. This one, obviously 8-4 clubbing. Is this one you just burn the tape on and move forward and say, hey, it's just a one-off game in the middle of a road, or, to start a road trip?
I got to be honest with you. I watched that game late because I was tied up with things, and then watched it late, watched to the third period, and they gave up those 2 quick ones. And I was like, yeah, this is done for. And I turned it off and checked the actual score is 5-3 when I turned it off, and I saw the final of 8-4. I'm like, holy fuck. I'm kind of glad I did that. Okay, McDavid's really good, but 6 points. 6 points. What's the defense? Like, do we not have a defensive game plan for this guy? Like, I understand if he pops off 2, 3, even 4, but 6 tied a career high. What are we doing? You're in the game in the third period. Like, it's not even like they were chasing it. It was tied going into the last 20. It's just kind of mind-blowing how, you've done a decent job kind of keeping him at bay to that point. And then you let his team pop off for 4. I'm pretty sure he was in on all 4. So, I don't know, man. Just not a good night. I wouldn't say you burn the tape. There's some good things in the first and second period. You're hanging with a really good team, and they're building. You got to find a way to button it up, and it's a struggle and a challenge for a lot of teams at a lot of levels, hanging on to leads, or just finding a way to stay in games. Do you think, we're going to the third, Edmonton, McDavid, they're hot, we're in this, feeling good about where you're at, and you cannot take one backward step. You cannot take a moment to feel good until that final buzzer goes off and you see your team with more goals than the other team.
Yeah, I just thought overall bad effort in the third period. 5 goals given up. To your point, 4 assists for Connor McDavid in the third period. Yeah, just all the way around. Truly no bueno. We got a little bit of time here. Let's talk a little trade deadline. We got about 3 4 weeks until the trade deadline here. Wings running 4 lines, rolling 4 lines. Like I was looking, I mean, everybody's averaging between like 12 and 18 minutes in the forward group. Obviously, Sider, Wallman at the top, the defense. Is this something coming into the deadline? Do you see them potentially trading someone like Sprong, who is playing well, just because we're not going to keep him? That was something interesting that I saw. I was like, Daniel Sprong really has been a good quality player, but he's not playing top minutes. That was an interesting case to me. Do you think that they'll part with Sprong, or you think they'll just ride out the season with him?
I'm not sure who wrote that article or who said that, but I think that would be a massive mistake. If you can get a player like that, and like granted, like fine, if someone wants to massively overpay for Daniel Sprong, be my guest. But the ability to have a 30, 40 point guy who can do it in 10, 11 minutes a night, like you don't trade that guy. That guy's part of the solution. You don't trade him.
30, 40 point might be understating him. I'm pretty sure he's on pace for more than that this year. So,
and like he gets time on the second power play unit or the first unit, whatever he's on right now. And if he can, succeed 5-on-5 in that role, make room for other guys, not command too much of a salary. I mean, and maybe that's where he thrives. Maybe the Wings talked to him about a bigger role. Maybe he was like, honestly, like, I don't think that's a good idea. And like players know how their bodies work, what they can handle, all those things. They're always talking to nutritionists and trainers and doctors. So maybe that's the role he wants. Maybe that's the role he knows he's really good at. And maybe that's the role he knows where he can get some job security. The Wings might be working on extending him. Who knows? I don't know what his if it was 1 or 2 year deal, whatever it was, but yeah, I would think about extending him for sure. Part of the solution, I think.
I'd be happy to have him around. I just saw that, and I thought it was interesting because obviously Raymond's getting more money, Sider's getting more money. I mean, some pieces are going to have to be subtracted. There's just no other way around it.
Yeah, if you're forcing me to gas one player to trade away at the deadline, it's David Perron, and I would replace him with Jonathan Berggren on the roster. Easy.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I would love to see Perron. I shouldn't say that I would love to see him shipped out. I would just love to see an opportunity for Berggren.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys that we've over-ripened in the A, and
it's time.
He's done everything. He has nothing left to prove in the A, and he hasn't put up, massive points at the NHL level, but he's still producing somewhat.
AHL All-Star. There was also a clip of him recently, a game within the last week or so, saving like a backdoor one-timer goal, sliding, blocking the shot. I mean, if that isn't proof right there that that guy is willing to do whatever it takes to get a shot, I don't know what is.
Yeah, he was diving and wound up slapping the puck away or whatever is wide open net. It was a great hustle play,
Yeah.
the kind of winning play.
Yeah, for sure. If at the deadline, if we could ship out Perron, get maybe a mid-round pick, fill his spot with Jonathan Berggren, and if there was a way we could maybe find a little defensive depth help, I just am really concerned. Shit, dude, maybe even goalie help now. If I don't know what's going on with Billy Husso, if we really want James Reimer to be our backup the rest of the year. Some decisions are going to be made, but yeah, I think the forward core is fine. I think you could get rid of one guy and replace him with Berggren and be okay. And the defense and the goaltending is really what's up in the air at this point, just because one of our goaltenders is injured week to week, Coach Lalonde said today. And the third pairing and sometimes the second pairing too. It's what are you going to get? Are you going to get a 5 goals against third period, or are you going to be able to shut down a team to 0 or 1 goals in a period? It really is a coin flip half the time, it seems like.
I think that's a good way to put it. It really is. You just don't know. And, they'll go on a tear one way and then they'll go on, just absolute cold streak the opposite. So obviously hockey's got lots of ups and downs, and it's about trying to smooth them out as much as you can and, keep level messaging as you go throughout.
Yeah, for sure. So next few games, we got an away contest, Vancouver tonight, happening after recording, and then Saturday against the Flames, and then wrapping up the road trip Monday the 19th, President's Day, I believe, against the Kraken in Seattle before heading home for a couple of games against the Avalanche and Blues. So really important that we start acquiring some points here. Obviously unable to get some points in Edmonton. Would really like to see about 4 or 5 points acquired in these last 3 games.
I think you absolutely have to get minimum of 4, especially with how poorly they played against Edmonton. They got to bounce back. And honestly, tonight's Vancouver game is going to be a good barometer because it's another really good hockey team that, we got the better of last time, but they kind of gave it to us. And so it'll be interesting to see playing on their ice, different atmosphere, how the team comes out and plays. Obviously, I'm sure sitting here, we feel confident against Calgary and Seattle. But obviously it's the NHL, so anything can happen on any given night. So you got to make sure you bring your A game.
Yeah,
not,
I mean,
you give up 5 goals in the third period.
Right, for sure. I mean, again, the offense hasn't been the problem. It's been what type of defensive effort and what type of defensive structure are we going to see? And most nights with Alex Lyon, it's there, and he's stopping the pucks he needs to. But again, Alex Lyon's not going to be able to start every game that's left. So on those nights where it is James Reimer or maybe more help is on the way, that's yet to be seen. The defense has to be better.
Are we getting decent NHL defense, or are we getting a bunch of pylons on I-75?
Someone call Gretchen Whitmer and ask.
Fix the damn roads.
Oh, my goodness. Well, gang, that about wraps it up for us tonight. Obviously, Wings are just still getting back into the swing of things here post All-Star break. Got about 3-ish weeks until the trade deadline, 3.5 or so. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. Until next time, Hockeytown, I'm Matt. That's Forrest. Thanks for hanging out with us.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Hockeytown Hangout on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.